New Age Beverages wants to be the world's leading healthy beverage company. It's not there yet. Looking at the chart, the stock has taken a wild ride over the past year. With a series of acquisitions, New Age Beverages now has a respectable portfolio of healthy beverages that appear to be gaining momentum. And recently, New Age Beverages reported organic sales growth so far in 2019. So, are we moving into a new age with New Age? Let's take a look. The great news for New Age Beverages was that its net revenue reached an all-time high in the second quarter of 2019. New Age had a 14% quarter-over-quarter increase in net revenue. This appears to show that consumer demand for its products is gaining momentum. However, the bottom line was not as rosy. The problem was spending increased even faster than revenue increased. New Age's operating expenses rocketed by 792% over the prior year period. This huge increase was primarily driven by higher selling, general, and administrative expenses associated with the merger with Morinda. However, New Age Beverages reported positive adjusted earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, in other words, EBITDA, of $2.2 million. This was in line with expectations. The company also announced in the second quarter that it was acquiring Brands Within Reach. BWR is a New York-based marketing, sales, and distribution company that owns licensing or distribution rights to beverage brands including Nestea, Illy ready-to-drink coffee, Volvic, and Evian premium waters. Looking ahead, New Age Beverages CEO Brent Willis predicted good organic growth in the second half of 2019. He further stated, with the strength of our balance sheet and the improved sales and market capabilities that we have added with the Brands Within Reach acquisition, we believe we are building excellent momentum for continued improved operating performance in the back half of the year. Given these statements, investors will want to monitor that predicted progress and monitor New Age's integration of BWR. The company expects BWR's portfolio will add more than $15 million in net revenue on an annualized basis. So while you watch the fundamentals, let's take a look at the charts. Although New Age Beverage Corp doesn't have much history to it, we're going to stick with this chart here, which is the monthly chart going back to say mid-2016. And New Age Beverages Corp symbol is NBEV. For disclosure purposes, I do not hold any shares of NBEV at this time. And looking at the chart, we see a couple of things that pop out. First of all is the low here, say in mid-2016 at that point there, and then the low in mid-2018 at that point there. Now, the current level is right here at about $2.88. I'm not necessarily going to say that's the low because I think we may continue down a little bit further, and that's what you're going to want to watch for. We'll see that here in the MAC. You see that the fast line has crossed through the slow line at this point and seems to be accelerating slightly on the downside. Moving down into the histogram, you can see that move on the downside is continuing. It's not really accelerating all that quickly, and it is only at a slight negative of 0.25. So not too bad at all. Price rate of change is heading on down too, but this looks to be a lot more shallow than the histogram or the MAC. So watch this moving down here. It's above zero, so there is some strength with that. And I'd like to see that bottom out here within the next few months to few quarters, maybe hopefully by the end of the year. That's possible, very possible. Moving on down here into the RSI, we're at a relatively weak 37.52 measure there, but that's consistent with the bottom there in that mid-2018 time frame. So I would expect, I think the probabilities are that we'll get a bottoming in that RSI also in this same area here. So watch for that. Into the stochastics, it looks like it's heading on down. It's not too bad, still between that 20 and 50 area, but I think it can continue on down. It might breach that. We'll have to wait for a couple of months to see what happens there. Volume is heading on down. That's not necessarily a good sign, but perhaps it is a good sign, being that there's a sell off. And with declining volume in a sell off, that isn't necessarily significantly negative, and it can be seen as relatively positive, depending upon which side of that glass, half full or half empty, you want to be. Into the Williams, we did a header there at negative 100 at this point here, so I'd be looking for that to pop up here at some point. That right now, given that it just did that head dive into the sand, I'm not sure that this oscillator is going to be of much use. And that's part of the problem with the stock, is that we don't have a long history. Even though we are going back a couple, 3.5 years or so, there still isn't a real long history with the company. So you're really going to have to watch the charts as well as the fundamentals. But again, I would look to see for a bottoming in the price. Hopefully it's going to be above this level here. So hopefully it's going to bottom someplace near that 2 level. And also with the MAC, hopefully the fast line is going to level out and bottom out, say near that 0 line. Again, it's been down to this level there, but that still is only a zero 0.5 on the negative scale. So it's not too bad at all. So continue to watch this. Watch for the fast line to start moving on down near that 0 line, but hopefully leveling out sooner or later in this area here, and not too significantly negative. And if that's possible, then New Age Beverage might be a stock to take a look at. Certainly follow that progress in the fundamentals. And for today, that's ChewDog Charts. Thank you.